Good morning, WeDharma. I'm Jennifer Miller with Mission Savvy. Mission Savvy is an eco-fashion company that is very much for the protection of animals, for animal welfare, for wildlife conservation, for everything good on the campaign front that is trying to make this world a better place for animals. And it's been a little while since I've had a chance to sit down and do a video blog. It's been incredibly busy recently, but this morning I woke up and I said, you know what? I'm going to give myself a day. I am going to log onto my computer, but not into my email. I'm not going to log into anything. I'm not going to communicate with anyone, although I'm sitting in my boutique, so I might have to communicate with somebody at some point. But I have something on my mind, and I'm going to talk about it. Instead of trying to ignore it and getting through my day and doing all the business stuff, I'm actually going to give myself this opportunity to talk about it. Today is the first day of bow hunting season here in West Virginia, and we are in the hunting season, the core of hunting season here in the United States right now. It's a part of who we are. It happens every year. It's happened for a very long time. It just is, really. But for me, hunting was something I was almost born into. I was never involved in it, but being born and raised in West Virginia in a state like this, where it is a culture, it's something, it's who people are, it's a religion, it's a core of their existence here in West Virginia. There was no getting around it. So for me, it came into my life really as a state of confusion, and being surrounded by people that were really important to me and people that I loved, people I looked up to, that had this side to them that I didn't really understand. Why would they go into the woods and be so excited and so joyous about it, and take their guns with them and shoot something dead and then decapitate it and put their heads on the wall? I was so confused and thought, you know what, I must be an alien or something. Am I really the only one that thinks this is ugly? So I never really talked about it growing up or was outspoken about it, but now, being professionally involved with wildlife conservation and wildlife management practices, and being on the campaign front and really tackling these tough issues, looking at the science of them and saying, okay, this is the problem. Let's try to come to a solution that also incorporates a wildlife, animal welfare element to it. So now that we're in hunting season, there are a number of issues that I have, obviously. You are probably right to assume that I am very anti-hunting, but taking the sensational element away from this and not going so much into the ethics of hunting and the kill, but actually looking at hunting and the way it's established in the United States and the purpose that it fulfills, there are some real issues that I have with the science behind it. So number one being, each state has a Department of Natural Resources or a wildlife agency of some sort, and those agencies are funded by hunting permits, by the purchase of hunting permits by hunters so they can go out and do their little sport, if not completely solely funded by those permits. So you can assume that hunting is always going to be a tool that is used for wildlife management if those agencies are continued to be funded by those permits. So that's a huge loophole, a huge issue that I personally have with the organization of all of this. Another issue I have is with the argument that it is a successful wildlife management tool. It is absolutely not proven to be at all, and specifically when it comes to deer. Here in West Virginia, per permit, the kill quota is 1 to 2 animals per hunter per permit. And it also depends on whether or not you're in rifle season or bow hunting season or muzzleheads season, whatever it is. The kill quota per permit is actually quite low, but there's a lot of people doing it. So taking out 1 or 2 males or females from an isolated group of specifically deer isn't going to drastically or effectively reduce that population at all, because females self-regulate. And so based on the availability of food, they will choose to either have twins or triplets or just a single fawn. If food is in abundance, then they will self-regulate and produce more offspring. If food is not in abundance and there's a overpopulation of wildlife within their foraging habitat, they are going to self-regulate and produce one, if not any, offspring. So hunting from season to season is absolutely ineffective. And if we looked solely at land conservation or land management, we might actually come to a solution for managing the overpopulation of deer. So what's in place right now for land conservation? Well, the plans that are established by the Department of Resources actually have the interest of hunters in mind, rather than establishing or drafting a plan that is for the better protection of the ecosystem as a whole and maintaining sustainable numbers of animals within that ecosystem so that it can exist in its natural form. Rather, these agencies develop plans that ensure that population numbers will consistently be at a level that is appropriate for hunting. So in case food of some sort, like acorns that deer love, happen to not be in abundance one year, their backup plan is to have these clear lots of land that are planted with grass and shrubs, so that no matter what, there will always be some sort of food in abundance for these animals so that they can reproduce and have offspring and maintain a population level that's appropriate for hunting. And unfortunately, that's the concept of land protection, land management within those plans. So what's a good solution for somebody like me, and probably most of you watching this, to go out there and feel like you're making a difference? Well, there's a couple things that you can do. One is to help eliminate the pop-up of all of these deer farms. In West Virginia, we have 5 deer farms whose sole purpose is to breed a genetically diverse population of deer. In case the population dwindles so low in the wild, they can reintroduce these species and bring the population back up so it's at a level for hunting. If the animals are not to be reintroduced, as like this season, hunters are permitted to go onto these private properties, deer farms, and hunt. So if it's not going to happen in the wild, it's going to happen on private property. Clearly, this hunting activity is more of a sport than it is a conservation tool. So that's one thing that you can do, is be actively involved in the regulation and permitting of these deer farms that are popping up all over the United States. The other thing you can do is just sit on public committees and voice your concern for the proper management of wildlife, and that if we are going to be committed to reducing the so-called overpopulation, then we need to look at human impact. We need to look at land management. We need to look at the strategies that are already in place that are absolutely ineffective, and not so much going and sitting on these committees and being an active voice for anti-hunting, but being a realistic voice would help immensely. So this is my little rant for this morning as the hunting season kicks off. And feel free to send me any questions or comments at info@missionsavvy.com, and I will keep you posted from West Virginia and let you know what's happening this hunting season as we move forward, unfortunately. So on that note, be the ambassadors that you are, and be strong in your beliefs, and be careful to not over sensationalize issues so that we can actually get something done. I'll talk to you later.